Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The restaurant had the typical Friday night energy. Plates clattered, conversations hummed, and the aroma of sizzling meats and aromatic sauces filled the air. Louisa weaved through the maze of tables, her dark ponytail swinging as she balanced a tray of drinks. Her shift was almost over, and excitement bubbled up inside her. Tonight was special. She'd finally see her dad again after months apart. The divorce had been tough on everyone, but Louisa tried to stay positive. She glanced at the clock on the wall, willing the minutes to tick by faster. Just as she was about to hang up her apron, her manager approached with an apologetic smile. "Hey, Louisa, I know you're about to clock out, but could you take care of one last table? Table 4 just sat down." Louisa's heart sank, but she nodded. "Sure, no problem." She plastered on her best customer service smile and headed to table 4. As she approached, she noticed a family of 4, a man with a severe expression, a tired-looking woman, and 2 children, a sullen teenage boy and a younger girl who was coloring on her placemat. "Good evening. Welcome to Bella's. Can I start you off with some drinks?" Louisa asked, her pen poised over her notepad. The man barely looked up from his menu. "Scotch, neat. And make it quick." Louisa blinked, taken aback by his brusque tone. "Of course, sir, and for the rest of you?" The woman ordered a glass of white wine, while the children asked for sodas. As Louisa jotted down their drink orders, she couldn't help but notice the tense atmosphere at the table. The man's eyes kept darting to his watch, his foot tapping impatiently under the table. When Louisa returned with their drinks, she overheard a snippet of conversation that made her stomach churn. "For God's sake, Daniel, sit up straight," the man hissed at his son. "You look like a hunchback. No wonder you can't throw a decent pitch." The boy slouched further in his seat, his eyes fixed on the tablecloth. Louisa's heart went out to him as she set down their drinks, careful to keep her expression neutral. "Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" she asked, trying to keep her voice cheerful. The man waved his hand dismissively. "We've been ready." "Where have you been?" Louisa bit back a retort. "I apologize for the wait, sir. What can I get for you?" As she took their orders, Louisa couldn't help but notice how the man critiqued every choice his family made. He scoffed at his wife's salad order, told his daughter she didn't need the extra cheese on her pasta, and rolled his eyes when his son asked for a burger. "A burger? Really? You need to start watching what you eat, boy. You're getting soft." Louisa's grip tightened on her pen, her knuckles turning white. She wanted nothing more than to say something, to defend this poor kid, but she knew it wasn't her place. Instead, she focused on writing down their orders and promised to have them out as soon as possible. As she headed back to the kitchen, movement near the entrance caught her eye. A tall woman with short, spiky hair had just walked in, her eyes scanning the restaurant. There was something familiar about her, but Louisa couldn't quite place it. The hostess approached the woman, but before she could speak, a loud voice cut through the restaurant's chatter. "Well, would you look at that freak show?" The man at table 4 sneered, his voice carrying, "What is the world coming to?" Louisa froze, her eyes darting between the man and the woman who had just entered. The woman's shoulders tensed, but she held her head high, ignoring the comment as she spoke to the hostess. Something clicked in Louisa's mind, and her heart began to race. She knew that stance, that determined set of the jaw. It couldn't be... Could it? Without thinking, Louisa approached the woman. As she got closer, she saw the familiar eyes, the same ones she'd looked into countless times throughout her childhood. The same eyes that had watched her take her first steps, had beamed with pride at her graduations, had filled with tears the day of the divorce. "Dad?" Louisa whispered, her voice barely audible over the restaurant's noise. The woman turned, her eyes widening in recognition. A smile broke across her face, tentative at first, then growing wider. "Louisa," she said, her voice deeper than Louisa remembered, but still unmistakably familiar. Louisa's mind whirled. This explained so much. The secrecy, the distance, the vague explanations. Without hesitation, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around her dad. inhaling the familiar scent of sandalwood and coffee. "I have missed you so much," Louisa murmured into her dad's shoulder. "I've missed you too, sweetheart," her dad replied, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm sorry I stayed away for so long. I needed time to become who I truly am." Louisa pulled back, taking in her dad's appearance. The short hair suited her, and there was a light in her eyes that Louisa hadn't seen in years. "You look happy," she said simply. Her dad's smile wavered. "I am, but I was so afraid of how you'd react. I should have known better. You've always had the biggest heart." A throat cleared behind them, and Louisa turned to see her manager. "Louisa, your shift ended 10 minutes ago. You're free to go." Louisa's eyes widened. She'd completely forgotten about Table 4 and their orders. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I still have a table..." Her manager waved her off. "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of them. You go catch up with your... parent." Louisa shot her manager a grateful look before turning back to her dad. "Let me just grab my things, and we have so much to talk about." As Louisa hurried to the back to collect her belongings, she overheard the man at Table 4 complaining loudly about the service. She felt a twinge of guilt, but it was overwhelmed by the joy and excitement of reuniting with her dad. When she returned, her dad was waiting by the door, looking slightly uncomfortable as she tried to ignore the stares and whispers from some of the other patrons. "Ready to go?" Louisa asked, linking her arm through her dad's. Her dad nodded, visibly relaxing at Louisa's easy acceptance. As they stepped out into the warm evening air, Louisa suddenly remembered what day it was. "Oh, happy Father's Day," she said, giving her dad's arm a squeeze. Her dad's eyes welled up with tears. "You still want to celebrate that with me?" Louisa nodded firmly. "Of course. You're still my dad, no matter what. This doesn't change how much I love you or how important you are to me." They walked in comfortable silence for a moment before Louisa spoke again. "So, what should I call you now? Do you have a new name?" Her dad smiled. "I've chosen Evelyn, but you can still call me Dad if you want. I'll always be your father, even if I look a bit different now." Louisa nodded, testing the name in her mind. "Evelyn, I like it. It suits you." As they strolled down the sidewalk, the street lamps flickering to life around them, Louisa felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The past few months had been filled with confusion and hurt, but now, walking arm in arm with her dad, she felt hope blossoming in her chest. "So," Louisa said, a mischievous glint in her eye, "does this mean I get to help you shop for a whole new wardrobe?" Evelyn laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "I was hoping you'd offer. I could use some fashion advice from my stylish daughter." They turned the corner, heading towards a small park. The evening was perfect for a walk, the air warm but not stifling. As they entered the park, Louisa spotted an ice cream vendor and tugged on her dad's arm. "Ice cream? For old time's sake?" she asked, already knowing the answer. Evelyn grinned. "You know I can never say no to ice cream." They each got a cone, chocolate for Louisa, strawberry for Evelyn, and found a bench overlooking a small pond. As they sat, licking their ice cream, Louisa felt like a kid again, sharing a treat with her dad after a long day. "I'm sorry I wasn't there for you these past few months," Evelyn said softly. "I wanted to tell you in person, but I was scared. I didn't want to lose you." Louisa leaned her head on her dad's shoulder. "You could never lose me. I just wish you had told me sooner. I would have supported you every step of the way." Evelyn wrapped an arm around Louisa's shoulders. "I know that now. You've always been wise beyond your years." They sat in companionable silence for a while, watching the last rays of sunlight dance across the pond's surface. Louisa's mind drifted back to the family at the restaurant, to the man's cruel words, and the pain in his son's eyes. "Dad," she said suddenly, sitting up straight, "there was this family at the restaurant tonight. The father was so mean to his son. It made me realize how lucky I am to have you as my dad. You've always supported me, even when I messed up or didn't meet your expectations." Evelyn's eyes softened. "That's what being a parent is all about, sweetheart. Loving your child unconditionally and helping them become the best version of themselves. It breaks my heart to hear about parents who can't see the damage they're doing." Louisa nodded, thinking about the sullen boy at the table. "I hope he knows it's not his fault, that he deserves better. Unfortunately, it often takes years for children to realize that their parents' shortcomings aren't a reflection on them," Evelyn said with a sigh. "All we can do is try to be kind to everyone we meet. You never know what battles they're fighting." Louisa smiled up at her dad. "You've always been good at that. Being kind, I mean. It's one of the things I admire most about you." Evelyn squeezed Louisa's shoulder. "I learned it from you, kiddo. Your capacity for love and acceptance. It's truly inspiring." As the sky darkened and stars began to twinkle overhead, Louisa felt a sense of peace settle over her. Yes, things were different now, but the important things, the love, the support, the shared moments, those remained unchanged. "So," Louisa said, breaking the comfortable silence, "tell me everything. When did you know? How did you decide on Evelyn? Oh, and most importantly, where did you get that awesome leather jacket?" Evelyn laughed, the sound echoing across the quiet park. "Well, that's quite a story. Are you sure you're ready for it?" Louisa nodded eagerly. "I want to know everything. No more secrets between us, okay?" "Okay," Evelyn agreed, her voice warm with affection. "Well, I suppose it all started about a year before the divorce." As Evelyn began her story, Louisa listened intently, asking questions and offering support. They talked for hours, long after the ice cream was gone and the park had emptied of other visitors. They laughed, they cried, and most importantly, they reconnected. By the time they finally stood up to leave, the moon was high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the park. As they walked arm in arm towards Evelyn's car, Louisa felt a renewed sense of closeness with her dad. "Thank you for sharing all of this with me," Louisa said as they reached the car. "I know it couldn't have been easy." Evelyn pulled Louisa into a tight hug. "Thank you for listening, for understanding. You've made this journey so much easier than I ever thought possible." As they broke apart, Louisa grinned. "So, about that shopping trip?" Evelyn laughed. "How about next weekend? We can make a day of it." "It's a date," Louisa agreed. "I can't wait to help you find your style." As Evelyn drove Louisa home, they made plans for the coming weeks. Dinners, movies, and of course, the much-anticipated shopping trip. When they pulled up in front of Louisa's apartment building, neither of them wanted the night to end. "I'm so glad we did this," Louisa said, unbuckling her seatbelt. "I've missed you so much." "I've missed you too, sweetheart," Evelyn replied, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Thank you for making this the best Father's Day I've ever had." Louisa leaned over and kissed her dad's cheek. "Happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you." "I love you too, Louisa, more than you'll ever know." As Louisa watched her dad drive away, she felt a sense of excitement for the future. Things were different now, yes, but different didn't mean bad. In fact, as she climbed the stairs to her apartment, Louisa couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, different could be even better. The next morning, Louisa woke up with a smile on her face. The events of the previous night felt almost like a dream, but the text message from her dad, "Can't wait for our shopping adventure next weekend," confirmed that it had all been wonderfully real. As she got ready for her shift at the restaurant, Louisa's mind kept drifting back to the family she had served the night before. She wondered how their meal had gone after she left. If the father had continued his harsh criticism of his children, she hoped that someday that boy would find the strength to stand up for himself, to realize his worth wasn't determined by his father's impossible standards. When Louisa arrived at the restaurant, her manager greeted her with a knowing smile. "So, how did it go last night?" she asked, her voice low and kind. Louisa beamed. "It was amazing. Thank you so much for letting me go early. It meant more than you know." Her manager patted her arm. "I'm glad it worked out. Family is important, no matter what form it takes." As Louisa tied Osade on her apron and prepared for the lunch rush, she felt a new sense of purpose. She couldn't change the world, couldn't make every parent love and accept their child unconditionally, but she could be kind, could offer a smile or a word of encouragement to those who looked like they needed it. The day passed in a blur of orders and customers, but Louisa found herself paying more attention to the families that came in. She noticed the small interactions: a father patiently helping his daughter read the menu, a mother praising her son for using his manners. These moments, once overlooked, now seemed precious and important. During her break, Louisa sent a quick text to her dad. "Thinking of you, can't wait for our shopping trip?" The response came almost immediately. "Me neither, been watching fashion videos on YouTube. I have so much to learn." Louisa chuckled, imagining her dad, who had always been more comfortable in jeans and t-shirts, trying to navigate the world of women's fashion. She made a mental note to introduce Evelyn to some of her favorite style bloggers. As her shift wound down, Louisa found herself serving another family, a mother and her teenage daughter. The girl looked upset, her eyes red-rimmed as if she'd been crying. The mother reached across the table, squeezing her daughter's hand. "It's okay, sweetheart," Louisa overheard the mother say. "We'll figure this out together. I'm here for you, no matter what." Louisa felt a lump form in her throat as she approached the table. She took their order with extra care, making sure to compliment the girl's bright blue hair. The teenager's face lit up at the comment, and Louisa saw the mother mouth a silent "thank you" as she walked away. By the time Louisa's shift ended, she felt emotionally drained, but oddly fulfilled. As she hung up her apron, her phone buzzed with another text from her dad. "Just found out about something called contouring. Is this really necessary? Looks complicated." Louisa laughed out loud, drawing curious glances from her coworkers. She quickly typed back, "Don't worry, we'll start with the basics. Baby steps, remember?" As she left the restaurant, Louisa felt a renewed appreciation for her relationship with her dad. They had always been close, but now, with all secrets laid bare, she felt like they were entering a new chapter, one filled with honesty, growth, and unconditional love. The week flew by, each day bringing new text exchanges with her dad. Evelyn shared her insecurities about passing in public, her excitement about finally feeling true to herself, and her nervousness about the upcoming shopping trip. Louisa responded with encouragement, advice, and lots of heart emojis. Before she knew it, Saturday had arrived. Louisa woke up early, filled with excitement for the day ahead. She took extra care with her outfit, wanting to look her best for this important day with her dad. As she waited outside her apartment building, Louisa's nerves began to kick in. What if things were awkward? What if she said the wrong thing? What if... Her spiraling thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a car horn. She looked up to see her dad waving from the driver's seat of her familiar old sedan. All of Louisa's worries melted away as she climbed into the car. "Ready for this?" Evelyn asked, a mix of excitement and nervousness in her voice. Louisa grinned. "Absolutely. Let's go find you some fabulous outfits." As they drove to the mall, they chatted easily about their weeks. Louisa shared funny stories about her customers at the restaurant, while Evelyn talked about the support group she had started attending. "It's been so helpful," Evelyn said, her eyes on the road, "to be around people who understand what I'm going through, who can offer advice and support. It's made all the difference." Louisa felt a pang of guilt. "I wish I could have been there for you from the beginning." Evelyn reached over and squeezed Louisa's hand. "You're here now. That's what matters." When they arrived at the mall, Louisa could sense her dad's nervousness. Evelyn's eyes darted around, as if expecting judgment or ridicule at any moment. "Hey," Louisa said softly, linking her arm through her dad's. "You've got this, and I've got you, okay?" Evelyn took a deep breath and nodded. "Okay, let's do this." They started with a department store, figuring it would be less overwhelming than some of the trendier boutiques. As they browsed the racks, Louisa couldn't help but notice the sidelong glances some shoppers gave them. She stood a little closer to her dad, a silent show of support and protection. "What about this?" Evelyn asked, holding up a floral blouse. Louisa cocked her head, considering. "It's nice, but I'm not sure it's really you. What about this instead?" She pulled out a sleek black turtleneck. Evelyn's eyes lit up. "Oh, I like that." They continued through the store, building a pile of clothes for Evelyn to try on. Louisa was impressed by her dad's developing sense of style. She gravitated towards classic, elegant pieces with clean lines and rich colors. In the fitting room, Evelyn's nervousness returned. "What if nothing fits right?" she whispered to Louisa through the door. "Then we'll find something that does," Louisa replied firmly. "This is just the beginning, remember?" When Evelyn emerged in the first outfit, a pair of well-fitted dark jeans and the black turtleneck, Louisa couldn't help but gasp. "Dad, you look amazing." Evelyn turned to look in the mirror, her eyes widening. I do, don't I?" They spent the next hour trying on different combinations, laughing at some of the more outrageous pieces Louisa had snuck into the pile. By the end, Evelyn had a solid foundation for her new wardrobe, several pairs of trousers, a few elegant blouses, a couple of sweaters, and a beautiful dark green dress that made her eyes sparkle. As they left the store, shopping bags in hand, Louisa noticed her dad walking taller, more confidently. "How do you feel?" she asked as they headed to the food court for a well-deserved lunch break. Evelyn smiled, a full, radiant smile that Louisa hadn't seen in years. "I feel like myself." For the first time in a long, long time. Over pizza and sodas, they planned their next stops. A shoe store for some comfortable yet stylish flats, a cosmetics counter for some basic makeup essentials, and a jewelry store for a few simple, elegant pieces. As they were finishing their meal, Evelyn suddenly grew serious. "Louisa, I can't thank you enough for today, for everything. Your support, it means the world to me." Louisa reached across the table and took her dad's hand. "You don't need to thank me. This is what family does. We support each other, no matter what." Evelyn's eyes welled up with tears. "I don't know what I did to deserve a daughter like you." "Hey, no crying," Louisa said, her own voice thick with emotion. "You'll ruin your mascara before we even buy it." They both laughed, the moment of seriousness broken. As they stood to continue their shopping adventure, Louisa felt a wave of love and gratitude wash over her. This day, this new chapter with her dad, was a gift she would always cherish. The rest of the afternoon passed in a whirlwind of shopping bags, dressing rooms, and laughter. By the time they left the mall, the sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the parking lot. "So," Louisa said, as they loaded the bags into the car. "Same time next week?" Evelyn laughed. "Maybe we should give my credit card a break, but soon, definitely." As they drove home, Evelyn couldn't stop smiling. "You know," she said, "I was so worried about how my transition would affect our relationship. I never imagined it could bring us closer." Louisa reached over and squeezed her dad's arm. "Me neither, but I'm so glad it did." When they pulled up in front of Louisa's apartment, neither of them wanted the day to end. "Do you want to come up?" Louisa asked. "We could order in. Maybe watch a movie?" Evelyn's face lit up. "I'd love that." As they settled onto Louisa's couch, takeout containers spread out on the coffee table, and a romantic comedy playing on the TV, Louisa felt a sense of contentment wash over her. This was what family was all about. Love, acceptance, and being there for each other no matter what. "Hey, Dad," Louisa said as the movie's credits began to roll. Evelyn responded, looking over at her daughter. "I'm really proud of you. For being true to yourself, for having the courage to live authentically. You're the bravest person I know." Evelyn pulled Louisa into a tight hug. "And you're the most compassionate, understanding person I know. I'm the lucky one here." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.